Welcome, everybody. This is Germaine de Peralta from Reiki Wanderlust in Ottawa, also speaking on behalf of Tone Canada Magazine. Our guest today is founder and president of the International Center for Reiki Training. This is the biggest Reiki organization in the world with over 40,000 members. He is also founder and president of the Reiki Membership Association and the Reiki Center for Reiki Research. He is also publisher of Reiki News magazine. Our special guest has been author of many popular Reiki books, such as The Healing Touch, First and Second Degree Reiki, and other Reiki Master Manuals, as well as the books The Spirit of Reiki and Reiki for the New Millennium. Our guest has also created Usui Tibetan Reiki in 1989, Karuna Reiki in 1995, and in 2014-2000, Holy Fire Reiki. So let us welcome right now Mr. William Lee Rand. Welcome, William.
Thank you. Thank you, Germaine. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So William, today we're going to be talking about online Reiki and how Reiki adapts to the times.
Good.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead with my first question.
Sure.
So William, in the past, you have said that teaching Reiki online did not provide a consistent level of quality in the teaching of Reiki as opposed to teaching Reiki face-to-face. But last April, you did give webinars on how to teach Reiki online. As well, this May 2020, you have been teaching Reiki online. Why have you changed your position on this issue?
Yeah, that's right. So the thing is that there are a couple of reasons for it, three actually. First of all, the quality of the technology that's available to teach online has vastly improved. So I did that quite a few years ago. I think I made a statement around that. But in the meantime, the technology has improved tremendously. And in fact, last year, at the beginning of the year, about a year ago, I did teach a webinar online, and it seemed to work really well. And so based on that, I was wondering now, in the time of the coronavirus, when we can't meet in groups, in fact, it has actually eliminated the ability to teach in person because of the virus and the laws and rules around it. I wondered if it would be possible to teach classes online. And so I had a session with a woman I work with, Colleen Bonelli, who's tremendously clairvoyant and has a very good connection with Jesus, and who we call the brothers and sisters of the light, who are actually also the ascended masters. And so in that session, I asked about that possibility, and Jesus said, yes, you can do it now. And he said the reason is why you couldn't do it before so well, and now you can do it, is that energetically, I've been evolving, all Reiki people have been evolving through the practice of Reiki, and now we're ready to teach online. And in fact, this is extremely important, because if you can't teach online now, then people basically are not teaching Reiki. And we're not certain about how long the problem with coronavirus will last. And some think it will go on, off and on, probably for 3 years or so. And so Jesus also, at the same time, gave myself and Colleen Bonelli ignitions, which are the same as attunements, to enable us to teach online. So we received this special energy that would enable us to teach online. And in addition, the energy was increased in strength, so that not only were we able to teach online, but the energy itself is even stronger than before. So those are the main reasons. There's a need for it. We now have the ability energetically to do it, and also the technology supports it.
All right, thank you. And what do you think it is that makes a virtual experience very much like a face-to-face experience on the level of energy and spirit?
It's the update that we received from the brothers and sisters of the light, the ascended masters. They gave us that increased strength of energy. And so now I've taught, in addition to the webinar, I've taught 3 classes online. And the overall overwhelming response is that people are saying the energy is very strong, and
Mhm.
they really appreciate being able to learn from the comfort of their homes rather than having to risk getting infected with a coronavirus.
Yes.
And so it's simply the upgrade in the energy that we received that makes this possible.
That's fantastic. So basically, you're saying an online class right now is as good as a face-to-face class as far as the way the International Center for Reiki Training teachers, both the licensed Reiki master teachers and the professional members teach.
Yeah, in terms of the energy, it doesn't, the students are reporting that it seems even better than how the classes that they're receiving in the past. Not that the online is, not because of just the online, but because of the fact the energy has been boosted in its strength.
Okay, that's really good to hear. It's been upgraded, in other words.
Yeah, the energy was upgraded to fit the conditions that we have now so we can continue to teach.
That's right. That's fantastic. So right now, as of April 2020, the Canadian Reiki Association, which is the largest Reiki organization in Canada, said in a statement that, quote, they firmly believe the time-honored tradition of in-person training outweighs the benefits of online training, and they reject online training of Reiki. Now, most of their members are practicing Asui Tibetan Reiki, which began in 1989. Can you comment on their recent statement, please?
Well, first of all, every organization has the right to form their own rules. And as I understand it, the rules that they formed were formed by the desire of their members. And so they're a membership organization that is promoting the desires of the members. And so the members also have the right to have their own beliefs and understanding. And the fact is, this ability to teach online effectively is a new development, and you can't expect them to instantly, change before they even know about what I'm doing
Yeah.
or what anyone else is doing or what's possible. So, I'm sure they have the flexibility to make changes if it's appropriate, if they feel it's appropriate. So we'll just wait and see what they do. They may actually change. So, but they have the right to continue practicing and with the rules that they currently have about online Reiki if they desire to do so.
Okay, that's good to know. So, William, would you be able to briefly explain the origin of Sui Tibetan Reiki and how it has evolved to Holy Fire Reiki in 2014 for those who have not yet heard of Holy Fire Reiki?
Oh, all right. Yeah, well, actually, I started my Reiki path in 1981. I got level 1. That was from Bethel Fay, who was a member of the Reiki Alliance. And then I got level 2 a year later. And Bethel said that Reiki was a process that would not only heal, but it can guide your life. And she also
Mhm.
said that the master level was $10,000. And so I was a little dismayed about that
Yeah.
price, but then I thought, well, level 2 is good enough for me. It's fine. I can use that. And there are other things to do. So, but it also impressed me about the idea that Reiki can guide your life. So I began saying prayers and asking that the Reiki would guide my life. And I was living in Hawaii. I lived there for quite a long time, over 7 years. And I thought I would just stay there forever. But as soon as I started saying my prayer, things shifted and I had to move. And
Mhm.
a friend of mine had moved to San Francisco, but I had to keep moving. I thought, I'll find a nicer place to live. I did, but I could only
Mhm.
live there a few months, and I had to keep
Mhm.
moving. And so after a while, I wondered, well, why is this happening? Because it was affecting my resources. Every time I moved, it cost money. And I didn't have a stable place to live. So I said another prayer, and I asked, well, why is this happening? And the energy said, well, before you were doing that, now you're doing this. And I thought, what is this? And I thought, you mean moving? So I thought maybe moving, like really moving. And I thought leaving Hawaii. So I had my friend in San Francisco, I called him. He said, oh, sure, I got room in my apartment. You can hang out with me. In fact, he had a whole floor of an apartment building. He said you'd have your own room and all that. So I did move over to San Francisco. And actually, I took Tony Robbins' neuro-linguistic
Oh, yeah.
training. Yeah, that's what he was teaching that back then, and he had a 2-week training. I took the training, and I moved to San Francisco with the intention of teaching Reiki and past life regression therapy and neuro-linguistic programming. So I began doing that. Things worked out well for a while, and then kind of wound down again. I had no money, so I called my parents, and I asked them, "Can you loan me $1,000?" And my mother said, "Well, I'll tell your father." I called back a week later, and my mother was really excited, and she said, "Well, we can't loan you any money, but you can actually come back home and live with us." And I thought, oh, no. And I thought, I moved to get away from you guys, and there's no way I'll go back there. And so then I said, yeah, I mean, my parents were very conservative, and they were against Reiki. They were against everything I was doing. And, but I said another prayer, and I asked what to do, and the energy said, "Give it a try." I said, "Give it a try?" I thought, what's that? Well, and I thought, well, if it's give it a try, there must be something there I'm to learn. Mm-hmm. So I moved back there with my parents, and eventually it didn't really work well with them. So I moved into a place called the Health Force House, and they were like a group of people that were into alternative healing and meditation and diet and yoga and all that. So I was living there. And then I began hearing rumors about someone teaching a master level of Reiki, but not charging the $10,000 fee. She was only charging $500. And so I ended up talking to her, interviewing her, and finding out that her lineage did go back to Takata. It was a valid lineage. And she said that Takata had taught 22 masters with the idea that they would charge $10,000 for the master level, and that we were required to do that. Well, then one of the teachers that she trained, Iris Ichikuro, decided after Takata had passed on, she would train 2 people at a reasonable fee, which was $500. She trained Arthur Robertson, and then he was training the master, training the master level for $500. And then Diane McCumber took the training from him, so that's why she charged $500. So that's why I ended up being a master for $500. And then when that happened, I realized, oh, now I see why I moved back to Michigan. I couldn't be a master in Hawaii for $10,000, but in Michigan, it's $500. So that's why I moved back here. I could see my whole path, there was a purpose to it, that I was meant to be a Reiki master, and I could do it, for $500 back in Michigan. So I did that and started teaching Reiki classes. I already been teaching spiritual development training, and so it was very easy to transition into Reiki, and taught level 1, level 2, eventually master. And also the kahuna I had worked with in Hawaii, I worked with him for a year, and he said he had studied with 7 other kahunas, and he said the way of the kahuna was to always be looking for new information, new teachers to study with, and to learn as much as you can. So I thought, well, I'm going to do the same thing with Reiki. So I studied with many other masters, 5 or 6 actually. I got them 6. I got the master from, and quite a few others I talked to or had classes with them, and especially with the Reiki Alliance. And so I learned a great deal by doing that about Reiki. But when I first received Reiki back in Hawaii, got level 1, I went on a little walk by myself, and the energy spoke to me, and it said, this energy can be developed. And so I realized, okay, that's the case. So I always had an open mind toward that. Whereas the way that Reiki was being taught was that, well, you get Reiki 1, that's Reiki 1. The energy won't develop. You have level 2, it does get stronger, but it's not, you can't develop it. And master, the same thing. You can't really develop Reiki, but the energy told me it could, so I was always on the lookout on ways to develop it. So because of that, then I sought help from various clairvoyant people who were also healers to work with me to see if they could assist me in developing my energy field. And so people also began giving me symbols that were not Reiki symbols, but they said they had channeled it and it seemed to work, and so I collected them. And then after a while, people were asking me if I could teach those symbols. And at first I said, no, I don't know anything about them, but they kept insisting I teach them. So I called together my best students, and I put all the symbols on the floor. We studied them. we chose the ones that seemed to work best, and we created an attunement process, and we created this new system.
Mm-hmm.
It eventually became Karuna Reiki. So that was
Yes.
a development, a new style of Reiki, not really connected to a SUI, but it was independent, and it worked. So and my students began saying, well, this energy is even stronger than the Asui energy. And so then because of that, I made it like the next step after Asui Master. So
Mm-hmm.
I did that. Then I continued to be on the lookout for ways to develop the energy. I was working with a woman named Janice Jones, and she channeled the archangels. And then eventually she was working with Sai Baba, a guru in India, and Jesus. And she began working with me to develop the energy. And then Sai Baba passed on. And so anyway, in a session I had with her in January 2014, Jesus introduced the holy fire energy. At first, we didn't call it that, but eventually we came to know it as holy fire, which is an energy that was in the Bible. Like the burning bush, actually, it was the holy fire.
That's right.
That's why it didn't get burned up. But it wasn't to be religious in any way. It was to keep that non-religious, tone, just like a Sui Reiki. So I began teaching that, and at first it was just for master. Then in December 2015, then we added the placements for 1 and 2 and for the master symbol. So we had a whole system for the entire practice of Reiki. And then in September of 2018, we were given the upgrade in the energy, and that's when we had Holy Fire 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so none of these upgrades are anything that I requested or was seeking. It just came, with the energy and with guidance. And so my guidance was just focus on what you have and use it. And then the guides, the brothers and sisters of the light, the ascended masters, said they would take care of any developmental issues that are appropriate. So I did that. And then recently, we did have the experience April 4th on the online Reiki. Right. Which, Jesus had already been formulating that. He is also one of the brothers and sisters of the light. Mm-hmm. And they had been getting this ready because they knew something was coming along that would require it if we were going to continue teaching. So they were all ready to go with it. So they gave the ignition, we call our attunements ignitions, same as an attunement, but we call it an ignition. Gave the ignition to myself and Colleen Bonelli, and then we had the webinar, and we started teaching. So it's very recent, mm-hmm. but it's apparent from the classes I've taught that the students really like it, and they find it to be as strong or even stronger than the energy that they had before.
That's right.
It seems miraculous to me. I think it is. And yes, very happy to be involved with this type of work and the continuing development of the Reiki energy.
That's right. So yes, I did take the webinar and I felt the strength of the energy. And there were many changes that happened in my life after that webinar. So William, I realized that I believe there are more than 4,000 Reiki, Holy Fire Reiki Masters in the U.S. right now, right? Is that?
There's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so in many places, Holy Fire Reiki is still in its infancy. So given that Holy Fire Reiki is an evolution of Usui Tibetan Reiki, why would an Usui Tibetan Reiki master or Reiki practitioner want to switch up to Holy Fire Reiki? What are its benefits over Usui Tibetan Reiki?
Well, first of all, we don't say it's better than Usui Tibetan. We just say it's a different type. And what we say is that if a person is thinking they might be interested in it, that they would meditate on the energy and ask for their own guidance and follow their own guidance on it. So we don't try and convince anyone to take it. We recommend people just meditate on it and follow their inner guidance. And so because of that, people decide to take it. But so I say it's not for everyone. So we don't say it's better than, we just say it's another choice. And if people are guided to take it, that they would, can come and take it. So if people are practicing Usui Tibetan Reiki, then I recommend they continue practicing it if they're guided to do so. And in fact, we are having an upgrade webinar for Sui Tibetan practitioners so that they can teach online also,
Okay.
so that they don't have to stop teaching. And we're going to have
Right.
that May 28th.
So what you're saying is both Holy Fire Reiki masters and Usui Tibetan Reiki masters can now teach online, and the
Well,
webinar is on your website.
yeah, that'll be available May 28th, and we'll have that webinar to help them, offer them that ability. And they're not required to take it. It's only if they feel guided to do so. But they'll be able to do the same style of attunement that they do now, which is using the violet breath and using all of the, the positions, which actually I developed, using that same hands-on attunement with the, behind, in front with the hands, and then finally behind and sealing on the
Yes.
base of the brain, and then, the final prayer. They'll be able to do the same style of attunement, except they'll be able to do it at a distance.
All right.
And they'll be able to attune students and teach online.
Fantastic. That's really great. So now everybody has access to that. So right now we're, for those who've just checked in, we're talking to the founder and president of the International Center for Reiki Training, Mr. William Lee Rand. So we're going to continue with this interview. William, how can we use Reiki as a tool for unification in these times? And that is referring to unifications of different religions, countries, cultures, especially since at this time we all have the same need to heal and the need for raising our levels of consciousness.
Well, one of the ways is that with Holy Fire Reiki, also we understand now the Usui Tibetan system also is connected to the brothers and sisters of the light. And the brothers and sisters of the light are actually the founders of all the world's religions and spiritual paths. And so both known and unknown. So there's, a number of spiritual paths that may not be well known, but they're the founders of all the world's religions. And so when they developed each of their religions, they were somewhat separate on the earth. But when they passed on and they ascended up to much higher levels of consciousness, there was a place where they all joined together. And so they've all actually are one. They're working together to promote peace and love and healing on the earth. And so because of that, if you're aware of that, then you need to be aware also that all religions are one on a higher level of consciousness. And that the founders actually are promoting this idea. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in alignment with that, then that would assist you in actually honoring the religions of that anyone might practice. So what I found, by being part of this is whenever I meet someone of a particular religion, I feel a connection with that person because I realize the founder of that religion is actually one of the brothers and sisters of the light, and they actually have, created Holy Fire Reiki. So that helps, anyone who practices Holy Fire can easily relate to everyone, all the different religions and spiritual paths.
All right. And it's also a way of unifying countries, right? And different cultures. I'm referring to not, creating Reiki as a way of division between countries, but rather unification.
Yes, honoring all the different countries and spiritual paths and all the different things that people believe in, honoring that everyone has the right to believe whatever they choose to believe, and that that we do honor all religions, spiritual paths, all nationalities, and so forth in the practice of Reiki. And this is something that people can adhere to without needing to practice Reiki as well. And I think as the world becomes a smaller place because of technology, people are starting to interact with each other. They're getting to know each other. It's much easier to accept people once you know them than if you see them as some strange group of people far away, never met. So with our technology now, it's possible to connect. And I think that actually is helping to bring a oneness to, people on earth, a unification.
It's fantastic. So going back to online Reiki, William, there are some Reiki practitioners, teachers, and students that find it challenging to accept this paradigm shift to go from teaching and learning Reiki face-to-face to suddenly doing it online. What advice do you have so that these people in Reiki can take that leap of faith and sort of shift their mindset or perceptions?
Well, first of all, I believe that this is a shift that is developing gradually, and that the people who are ready can more easily actually get involved with it. But over time, it's going to become apparent that would be a good thing to try, I believe. And the thing is, as this coronavirus continues, and they're trying different things, they're going to try, people going out into public and so forth, and see if that works or not. But and strict rules around how they do that. But as time goes by, it's people will have be wondering how can they actually teach Reiki classes, and of course, being able to teach online is a way to do it. And as the energy, as the number of people actually grow that are teaching online, then the energy of that will also grow, and I believe, will become easier for people to accept. Now, another reason also is during this time, people are becoming much more familiar with Zoom and also, teaching online and so forth, so that as they become more aware of it, it'll be easier for them to make the transition. But, they don't have to. They're not required to do that. And I'm sure there will be a time when we will get back together and be able to teach in person.
Yes.
But we don't know what kind of world that will be. The technology is developing, and the knowledge of the potential of something like this happening again may be there. So there could be some hesitancy on that. But I think, they say going back to normal, but I don't think we're going to go back to normal. We're going to go back to a new normal that will be different than the normal we had before. So yes. Anyway, that new normal would make it easier for people to accept the idea of teaching online.
Right. So this whole period now of teaching Reiki online, from what you say, I gather it's not just temporary. So after COVID-19 has passed, Reiki masters will be able to teach Reiki both online and in person. Is that correct?
Well, it looks like that to me, yeah. Of course, we're just going to wait to see what happens, but it appears to me that as people teach online, they get used to doing it. They may want to keep doing it even when they can teach in person. And when they can do both, then they can actually compare the two and see which one they like the best. They can continue teaching in person if they want to, or online, or a combination of the two. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, it's all of this is a very experiential thing, right? You try it, you see that it works, you decide which one you really like or fits you.
Yeah, and follow your inner guidance and so forth. So I say the proof or value of anything that you do is in the results it helps you to achieve.
Right.
So if you take the class and you try it out and it works and you like it, well, then you keep doing it. And if it doesn't, well, you stop. So it's in the results. So this appears to be producing some very important results. And so this may be the path for others. But like I say, it isn't necessarily a path for everyone. There's no requirement that people do it. So I think I advise people to follow their own inner guidance, making a choice around it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. William, given that, and this is something a lot of people think about, given that Reiki is a healing modality, and for some people it is a spiritual practice, should Reiki be run as a business, or should it be run as a nonprofit endeavor?
That's a good question. So, well, first of all, when Asui started teaching and so forth, he didn't charge money, but the story was saying that people didn't value it and they didn't continue to practice. But as soon as he started charging money, then people realized it was something similar to other things that they paid for, and they continued to practice it. And also just observing people who don't charge money find that they have very few students. Because a person will come to them and say, oh, it's free, I'll take it, sure. But then after a while, if they want to take the other classes and keep going, sometimes they start to feel a little guilty that the person is doing something for them, but they're not doing anything back. And so they, people who do it for free aren't finding that their classes are very big, and they're not teaching many students. In fact, many of them quit and start charging money. So I have not found a problem attracting students by charging money, and neither have many people. So that's why I would say the vast majority of people who practice Reiki are charging money.
That's right. And well, my personal belief is you do need to charge money. So whatever comes back, you can invest into more innovation and advancement in Reiki and sustaining Reiki and keeping it alive.
Yeah, it makes it viable. So, we're very happy that we were able to do this webinar, because we were thinking, what's going to happen to the ICRT? We can't teach classes anymore, and that's the source of our income. Are we going to fade away? And of course, the ICRT supplies manuals and other materials for people to make it easy for them to teach. If we go out of business, well, then the whole Reiki thing is just going to kind of fade away.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll come back, in a few years or something, but it'll be greatly altered. So we're happy that we got the ability to do this webinar and charge money. And the thing is that, sure, we're charging money, but we're enabling our students who take the class and pay the fee to also charge money and start teaching and then derive an income. So right now, a lot of people are out of work. And certainly if you have Reiki, it's possible now with online Reiki to charge money and to, have a source of income from teaching classes. So this will be either a supplement or even a full-time income.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that. So right now, William, there are concerns that now that Holy Fire Reiki is being taught online by the ICRT, that many students are going to choose to take Holy Fire Reiki with the licensed Reiki master teachers in your program, which I believe are about 20, and they've gone through really rigorous training for a few years. But the concern is more what happens to the Holy Fire or Sweet Tibetan Reiki masters who are local and have not been able to take this program. They could be professional members, meaning they trained with you guys, but what will happen to this? Please comment.
Well, I think it's an unfounded fear. I mean, people have fears and they're worried about things. And, with the virus and everything, I think there's a greater level of fear. But, the licensed teachers, myself included, we can't teach an unlimited number of people. We don't do it. And so we limit the number of people we're teaching. And so we're not really, maybe there's a few more for me, I don't know, but not very many more. It's just around the same number I've taught in the past. Mm-hmm. And so we're not going to take over all the, the students because we can't, this online doesn't lend itself to teaching, hundreds and hundreds of students at one time. Yes. So, we're still, our recommendation is that people limit their classes to around the same size that they had before. And that's what our licensed teachers are doing. They're not out there, their classes have not bulged or gotten really big, but they are still able to teach. And the same is true for the people that took the webinar. There was over 350 people that took the webinar and they're able to teach. So they're teaching now, but it doesn't appear that their classes are, overwhelmingly huge, and they're about the same size as they were before. So I don't think that people have to worry about that. In addition, the Sui Tibetan people would be able to teach online soon also. Now, just from our records, we know that there are probably somewhere around a bare minimum of at least 30,000 people a year that take Reiki 1. And that probably there's maybe double that, maybe around 60,000 people a year are taking Reiki 1. Obviously, the ICRT is not teaching all of them. We're not doing that. And the number of students I teach has gradually gone up a little each year. And now last year I taught 500 students in 1 year. So, I mean, that's a record for me.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot of spreading Reiki around the world.
Yeah. But 500 compares with nothing to 60,000 that people are teaching. So there's no way that we're taking over Reiki or absorbing all the students or anything like that. I'm sure there's still plenty of students for everyone. It's a matter, though, of adapting and then developing your business. So it does take a business skill. Like you were saying, it's a business and it's a spiritual practice that need to work in harmony.
So, yeah, I understand. William, you were saying that you recommend that we keep the number of students as we teach online as we were doing face-to-face. I was thinking from my perspective that since it's online, we could actually take a larger amount of students. Not incredibly large, but a larger amount, because now it is online.
Well, what I'm finding is there is a limit. I mean, if you're going to give a quality training, you have to have a number of students that where they can ask questions, you can answer them. And beyond a certain point, that's not possible. So, the classes I've taught, everyone's been able to ask questions. I'm right there with them. It's taught live in person, just like this. And so, and I can see the people on the screen, all of them, and they raise a hand. I go, oh,
Yes.
Jenny or Jack, we have a question. What is it? And so I can, teach personally with each person, answer their questions, and interact with them. And so, but beyond a certain number, you can't really do that. So
Yes, that's right.
We had the webinar. That was different. That was like 350 some students, but that was a little bit different. And that wasn't a class. But in my classes, I'm limiting it to, I can't go over a certain number. And in fact, it doesn't appear that we're even attracting that many more students, so it seems like they're going to stay pretty much the way it has in the past.
Okay. So, great. So, William, I suppose the difference between our teaching Reiki and the ICRT is different from some of these. There have been organizations or people before teaching Reiki online, but they would actually put PowerPoints and pre-recorded things. And the nice thing I think about people, the licensed Reiki master teachers or the professional member teachers of the ICRT teaching, is the fact that these classes are actually live. They're not pre-recorded, and they're just not PowerPoints. The teacher is actually there to interact with the student, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a real valuable and important part of teaching, to interact personally with the person. If you're watching a recording, you can't ask questions, and
Yes.
you're not really interacting. But when you do like a Zoom meeting and you're there and you see your students, they see you, and you can watch their body language and interact with them. It's very similar to in person. Of course, you can't hug them, but what we
air hugs.
Yeah, we did develop the air hug. And then last time we called it bear hug, like a little variation. Bear hugs now, air hugs. So yeah, we do that, and you can feel, being hugged by the other people. And so we try to simulate, some in-person, but you do get the body language and intonations in their voice and all that. So there is some similarity to in-person.
Yes, that's great. Now, William, I have heard that you're developing a multivitamin and mineral supplement designed for Reiki people.
Yes.
So can you talk about this a little bit and when it's going to be ready?
Sure. Yeah. Now, a little background on that. My father was very much into supplements and vitamins. And then maybe when I was 18 or so, I became interested too. I started hanging out at health food stores and started taking vitamins and all the different supplements and everything. So I had a background right from when I was a teenager. And then it was actually was it 5 years or so or more ago, I was going to do that, but it never got going. And then recently though, I became very serious about it. And I realized something kind of interesting, that people use nutrients under different nutrients under different circumstances. As an example, a distance marathon runner would be have a different nutritional profile than someone, let's say, who lifted weights. And then, people who do Reiki must have a different nutritional program from people who, don't do Reiki. And so I wondered, well, what nutrients do Reiki people use? So I developed a couple of methods to determine that. One of them is called the electrodermal testing,
Wow.
and it's a somewhat of it's somewhat scientific, but somewhat borderlining on more of an alternative type of technology.
Oh,
And so in
okay.
that, you can test for, you can have a person seated there and they hold two of these electrode things that go into a meter that actually measures the resistance in your body, electro resistance. And then the practitioner will take like a nutrient and put it on the sample plate, and then the meter will go up or down depending upon if it's good for the person or not. So there's a way of testing different nutrients and supplements and so forth. And so I went to my friend that does this, and I thought, well, hey, why don't we test what nutrients are used by people who do Reiki? And so, and then he said, okay, do Reiki. So I started doing Reiki, and then he started testing for different ones. And we found there were a number of different supplements that seem to, first of all, that are used up when a person does Reiki, and secondly, that enhance the practice of Reiki. So those two, enhancement or that they're used. So we found calcium and magnesium to be very important for Reiki practitioners. And then there was lithium. Now, lithium is used by people who are
depressed.
Depressed or bipolar. But they're using a very high dosage of closer to like 600 milligrams. So what we found was a dosage of around 50 milligrams, very small, like 1/12 the dosage of a bipolar person. Just add that. And that seemed to somehow help the nervous system to be able to, channel Reiki. So we added a small dose of lithium. And there are quite a few other interesting things in there. In fact, the formula is like huge. And it's small amounts of different nutrients, also herbs and other ingredients. And so, and then I work with my chiropractor who does kinesiology, and we did a very similar thing. And he verified what we had gotten with electrodermal testing. And then also I consulted with on people that are into nutritional science that know all about nutrition, so that we had a formula that was balanced. So I wanted a formula that had a balance of nutrients basically for everyone, all the main vitamins and minerals, and then also all the special ingredients that were right for Reiki people. And so we developed that, and we have it. And the process is quite lengthy because the company I work with is certified by like 5 or 6 national certification companies for their vitamins, and everything they do has to be tested. So every time I ask about a change, it takes like a long time for them to integrate that because they have to verify it with their standards. And so anyway, we have the formula now, and we're just about ready to have them manufacture it. And so by the summer, sometime in the summer, we should have the vitamins available.
This summer, 2020.
2020. Yeah, we'll have it.
Yeah.
So a few months. So once we give the go-ahead, it takes about two months for them to manufacture. And it's a company that has plants all over the U.S. They're very successful. And the representative I'm working with actually is a Reiki practitioner. So,
neat.
Yeah, she's the representative. So when I talk to her, she knows all about, she understands everything about what we're doing. She's very excited about it. She wants to take the vitamins too, when we get them done. So, they were very open. Whereas before, when I tried to do it, the companies weren't that, wanting to work with me that much. But this company is very much into it because the person has Reiki and she understands, what I'm doing. So, I'm able to work with her very closely. And so like I say, probably this summer, we're just about ready to give the go-ahead on it.
Well, you might find it interesting that as you're giving Reiki to someone, you're kind of needing certain supplements and minerals. How does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. When you give just 1 or 2 sessions in a day, probably it doesn't really affect you. But what I've noticed is when I talk to people that give like more than 4 or 5 or 6 sessions, they say, at the end of the day, they feel kind of like depleted. And I started wondering, well, why wouldn't they just feel really boosted up? And I realized it must be that they're using up some of their nutritional, requirements, and that's why they feel depleted. Whereas if they were supplied with those, they should be able to do Reiki for a much longer time without feeling depleted. So, once we get this formula done, that will be the test. I'll talk to people who do a lot of Reiki and see, do they still get depleted at the end of the day, or does the supplement keep them boosted up? So,
Oh, that's going to be neat.
yeah, so that's, really, I'm excited about this because, many people who are into Reiki also are into vitamins. And if they can take a vitamin that is supportive of their Reiki practice, then it's going to be helpful.
Yes, and this will be, we can get them on Reiki.org, right? That's the website of the International Center for Reiki Training.
We're gonna call them, the company is sort of like a additional company called Spiritual Path Nutritional Supplements.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so for people on a spiritual path, like most Reiki people on a spiritual path, so Spiritual Path Nutritional Supplements. So, yeah.
That's quite innovative.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that before, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm happy the direction this has all gone in. And of course, we're getting guidance from the Brothers and Sisters of the Light, and they're behind it, and they're all happy with it and everything.
And these are Reiki-infused vitamins too, right?
Well, what we're going to do, one thing I want to do too, is find out what plant are they going to be manufacturing my vitamins at, and what time and date. And then I'm going to ask Reiki people to send Reiki to the vitamins, like lots of Reiki people, hundreds or thousands, send Reiki to that vitamin. Vitamins.
Yes.
And so they'll be actually involved with, sending Reiki into vitamins that they might actually purchase. So
that's neat.
It's sort of they're interacting with the manufacturer of their own vitamins.
Okay, fantastic. So, William, would you like to talk a little bit about how Reiki practitioners can become professional members of the ICRT, and what are the benefits of this? And what is a professional member?
Yeah, we've got the two programs. We have our membership association where you can become an affiliate or a professional or a licensed Reiki master teacher. And those are different levels of membership. So the affiliate can be a Reiki master of any lineage. Don't have to be a member of our lineage. Any lineage is affiliate. Then professional is someone who has taken the master class and level 1 and 2 from one of our licensed teachers. And the reason we ask that is because the membership organization is an association meant to help to work with people who want to practice the same way that we do at the ICRT. Now, for quite a long time, people would ask me that question. They say, I do everything according to the way you teach. I use your manuals. I use your class outlines, everything the same way. Is there something we can join? And I'm thinking, well, yeah. I don't have anything to join, no. But then eventually I thought, well, maybe I would start something. So that's one of the reasons we started it, because we wanted something for people who practice the same way we do. So one of the requirements is that you use the same manuals that we supply, the same class outlines, and you teach, with the same standards that we promote. So in that way, people are doing the same thing. So affiliates, they can be, entry level, they can be masters of any lineage, and also you get listed and people can contact you. So one of the benefits of membership is that if someone wants to meet someone in their area, they can go to our list and sort it by zip code, and then find someone in their area, and they can see if that person is an affiliate or a professional or an LRMT, and then go to that person. So it provides really a service, and we have 3,000 members, over 3,000 members, and so there's people all over the country, and so it provides a way of people finding a quality teacher if they want to find one. So, so the professional member, like I said, they have to have taken 1 and 2 and the master class from one of our licensed teachers. And they all agree to use our manuals and to teach according to our outlines and so forth. Then the licensed teachers, that's a much more advanced program. You have to be a professional member for 1 year prior to applying to the program. And then you have to, once in, then you retake all of your classes with one of our licensed teachers. And then you review them, and then you co-teach each class as you become qualified to teach that class. So it's about 3 years that it takes, and it's 1,000 hours of work, of, in training and so forth. And so we feel that our teachers are very highly trained and very serious. So we only have about 30 or so that are licensed teachers.
Okay. So in terms of the professional members, becoming a professional member, it should be easier now since people are teaching online. Is that correct?
Yeah, so then because we're teaching online, the online training does qualify you for, to become a professional member. And so then you can take, all of our licensed teachers, I believe, are pretty much teaching online now. And so you can take classes from any of them, regardless of where you live.
Okay. So right now, this is, we're wrapping this up. Is there anything else you would like to add to this interview session, William?
Well, I think that we're at a very exciting time in the development of the world and the history and so forth, and with the coronavirus and then the advent of online teaching. I think it's and also the need for people to earn an income. So they can get involved with this practice that is a spiritual practice. It involves them to earn an income and in a way that is helpful to others. So I think that this is just a really interesting time. And I think that our history is going to be people are going to think of before the coronavirus and after the coronavirus, demarcation time, because a lot of things are changing around that. So I think, it is a very interesting time. And with Reiki, being able to teach classes, earn an income, and help others, it's like really a blessing for us. And we don't have to be subjected necessarily to some of the problems others are having, being out of work, and then even getting sick. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your words of wisdom and all the experiences, your experience in Reiki that you've had over the past 40 years. Thank you, William Lee Rand, President and founder of the International Center of Reiki Training. I really appreciate you being on this interview, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Germaine. That was a pleasure being here.
Yes. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. You take care too.